There have been a lot of retro style RPGs, especially from indie devs recently, and some of them have obvious inspirations from games like Morrowind and King's Field. So let's take a look at some of the immersive retro style RPGs that are worth playing right now, and a few that are coming out soon. Verho, Curse of the Faces is a really fun indie RPG that immediately brings to mind King's Field in the way that it plays. Verho is faster paced, but it still has that foreboding atmosphere and sense of danger that makes you think twice about stepping through that next door. There are a lot of enemies in the game that are very, very dangerous, so it's smart to take your time, come prepared. Verho really rewards you for doing that too, with many of the items placed in certain locations that you might not expect. Sometimes you'll come across them in an area that you've been through many times before. When you finally decide to look into a tree or look a bit closer at the floor, you'll find that item. That's what makes the exploration in Verho so rewarding. You never really know what you're going to find. That's a lot of little nods to other games as well, even one to Dark Souls, which it probably drew a bit of inspiration from too, and even has pretty cool bosses. At its core, the game feels somewhat simplistic, but in a way that allows a lot of experimentation in builds and in the way that you tackle different areas. You can play Verho Curse of the Faces on PC through Steam and GOG. Dread Delusion is a game that definitely carries the legacy of Morrowind's strange yet beautiful world, and you're free to explore in the way that you would like. You can focus on a variety of different ways to play. You could go full physical might, you can use powerful magics, or you can sneak around and try to avoid combat until you get the killing blow from behind. There are a lot of different unique characters that you'll be running into along the way, and you can decide for yourself who you would like to back and who you would want to oppose through a faction system that puts the choice into your hands. And since you start off as a prisoner of the Inquisition, forced into helping them, it isn't always clear where your loyalties should lie. Some of the characters that you'll meet, you might oppose them at the beginning and maybe think differently later. There are a lot of different decisions that you'll be making throughout the game. Many of them have consequences that aren't always black and white. You'll have to venture through the gray areas and ethical dilemmas to decide for yourself what and who is right or wrong in each situation. It's a pretty dark world with a lot of fun for fans of both Morrowind and King's Field. You can pick the game up on Steam. One of the more interesting indie RPGs that is coming soon is Queen's Domain, with a very clear throwback to graphics of classic PC days that also has a lot of complexity to it visually. In this one I can see both shades of Morrowind and of King's Field, with open areas and tight corridors, and even unique ways of movement. In the trailer you can see your character pick up this sword that allows you to do air dashes, and apparently that can be upgraded to allow for even more movement, so you're not just going to be stuck doing a single movement for the entire time. Queen's Domain promises to have a lot of fun exploration and a good variety of different weapons to find, with over 50 melee weapons that are upgradable, and also 20 secondary throwing weapons. So there's a ton of different weapons to use. In this game, you're on a journey to find your missing father, and that takes you to this mysterious island. Solving that mystery will lead you to a wide variety of enemies and into the heart of the island. Queen's Domain is coming soon to Steam, though as of right now doesn't have a release date. Lunacid is very much the next evolution of the King's Field series in a lot of ways, but still with those classic retro style graphics. The dark, brooding atmosphere is definitely here, with all sorts of mysteries and discoveries to make as you move forward. Lunacid has a ton of different weapons for you to find as you play through the game, and it's described itself even in the Steam description as a King's-like, which means you won't be dodge rolling in this one. You have to take measured attacks, use a combination of backstepping and blocking to make it through the various challenges. And it is a challenge to go through this one. Even figuring out where you're supposed to go isn't always straightforward, but I didn't really feel overly frustrated by the design of the maps as I was playing it. Just a sense of excitement at what I would find next. This one is a bit more slow-paced, but it feels good to play. You can get Lunacid on Steam. Another game that hasn't released yet but looks like a ton of fun is Hark the Ghoul. This one takes me back to the classics like Morrowind and Kingsfield, with strange locales, maybe even a little bit of Bloodborne with the ability to equip a gun in your offhand. Part of what made this game uniquely interesting is the way that you engage in combat. You can use things in the environment, like lifting up rocks and hurling them at the enemies with your powers. You can spin around a flail. Each weapon seems to have its own identity and playstyle, and getting through the areas will have you moving objects not just for combat purposes, but to get over obstacles. So, the way that you have to pay attention to the things in your surroundings is a clear focus here. That means there are likely a lot of secrets to find. I'm looking forward to checking this one out whenever it comes out. They have it marked for 2026, so make sure to wishlist it on Steam. And last but not least, the game with the most production values on this list, we have Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. This one has clear influence from both sides, Morrowind and the Kingsfield series. The game has a classic open world structure, having you find various NPCs to set you towards different quests, and some of them are seemingly mundane, but often surprising. You might really be surprised at what you find. Soon after the beginning of the game, you find yourself infected or blessed with the spirit of King Arthur, depending on how you decide to look at it, and you'll be tracing your way through Avalon in order to find pieces of his soul. And even with that being the case, you don't have to side with Arthur. There are multiple different ways to complete the game. You get to decide who you agree with and who you don't, and even if that person has taken up residence in your brain. There are various choices that you'll be making that push you towards one side or the other, and you'll learn about what happened that made Avalon into such a dark and scary place. A lot of the fun in this one is getting immersed, meeting all sorts of different characters, some who aren't as bad as they might seem at first, or some that are much worse than you might think. You can get Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. There you go. That is 6 different games that all embody that old school immersive RPG style. Now you should have something to play right now and a few games to look forward to in the future. For more suggestions and videos about RPGs of all kinds, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.